It is considered by many to be the best baseball movie ever made. The man who wrote and directed it in 1988 has a new book on the behind-the-scenes making of the film. It's called Church of Baseball, the making of Bull Durham, home runs, bad calls, crazy fights, big swings, and a hit. And it is an excellent book. We're joined right now by the writer and director, Ron Shelton. Ron, it's Brian Kenny. Thanks for joining us.
I'm happy to be here. Hope I can help the ball club, Brian.
Excellent. But Ron, let's start with this. I love the book, first of all. It's fantastic. But background, for those who don't know, you played minor league baseball. Do you have a collection of stories that you had with you that you thought you might get out there at some point?
No, I didn't write anything down at the time. It's sort of like my father being in World War II. You know, he had the stories forever. You're young, you're impressionable, and you're fighting for your life in the war for real, in baseball for your career. So when it came time to write the book, and why I wrote the book is I think in the introduction. When it came time to write the book, the stories just came floating back, and I've got a million more. So yeah, I didn't have to write anything down.
You know, a baseball movie, but it's written from a woman's perspective, which is, quite a twist. The Susan Sarandon character, of course. What led you there?
Well, I didn't like sports movies for the most part because they always end up with a grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. And in life, that never happens. So, or rarely happens. So I thought, how do I do this differently? And what if a woman tells the story? And that may be presumptuous of me, but I know a lot of women who like baseball, and just women. I have friends who are women, and she's kind of a refugee from the '60s. That now it's suddenly the late '80s, and this is where she finds herself. So, I mean, I didn't know if it would work, but it certainly did.
Being a writer, director, it looks so creative. You're the man, you're in charge. That's the impression we have. You point out in detail that the reality is different. What is it like getting a movie made when you're the guy who's putting it all together, like you were the writer, director of this?
Well, it's fun and hard work in one case. In this movie, though, there was not a lot of fun. The studio wanted to fire Tim Robbins. They wanted to fire me. They said Tim and Susan. Nobody would believe Susan Sarandon would ever go to bed with Tim Robbins. And all I can say is I'm the godfather of their firstborn. They didn't think the movie was funny, sexy, or romantic. And what can you say? Because I was shooting the movie I wanted to shoot. I had daily fights with the studio. So it was an altogether miserable experience to make, and somehow miraculously became this sort of joyful, exuberant celebration.
Yeah, you talk about getting the movie made, and it got made because of Kevin Costner. He was going on pitch meetings with you. Tell us about that.
Well, Kevin, I had 30 days. I had Kevin for 30 days, and if I didn't get this thing set up in 30 days, he had to go do another sports movie, Everybody's All-American, at Warner Brothers, the Frank DeFord story. But he wanted to do mine. And in 30 days, we went around town. We pitched it to every studio twice. They passed. We just got it. We had hours left to get it off the ground before he would be on the other picture. And a miracle, which I think is kind of a thriller chapter in the book, says how we pulled it off. I mean, this movie came within seconds of not getting made, quite literally seconds.
And you point out, like, No Way Out, which was a great film with Costner, had just come out and got favorable reviews. Otherwise, it doesn't get made, right? I mean, Bull Durham doesn't get made.
Yeah, Orion Studios is a very adventurous, I fought with them, but I love them. They'd made No Way Out. They didn't know what to do with it because it wasn't testing very well, because at the end of No Way Out, Kevin Costner, our handsome young Navy man, is revealed as a communist spy, and that's not going to sell in America. So, but it was part of the twist of the thriller. So they kind of buried it in August. August is when you put movies that nobody thought anybody would go to. And it happened to come out the morning of the last day that we had Costner, and it was an Orion picture, and Orion by this time owned Bull Durham. And had the New York Times not said this guy is a big time movie star, I don't think they would have called and said we want to make Bull Durham, because it was put together that day, and by Monday we were in pre-production, and that just doesn't happen.
And yet you say, like, even though Costner's so excellent in this, you got a call from someone at the studio. They wanted to fly Kurt Russell out. They were like, Costner's killing the flick. Tell us about that.
Well, Kurt Russell and I are friends, and he was maybe the first candidate for the movie, but he was unavailable, we were told. And then I heard about Costner, who I liked as an up-and-coming actor. And about 2 weeks in the middle of all this chaos of everybody trying to get my guys fired and me fired, I get a call on the set about 10 o'clock at night, and they said, it's Mike Medavoy. He's the head of Orion. Well, the head of the studio doesn't call you at 10 o'clock at night with good news. Mm-hmm. So I take the call, and the voice says, we just don't like Kevin. He's just not working in the dailies, and we're gonna fire him immediately. And I'm believing all this, and my heart sinks further. He says, and we're gonna send Kurt Russell out there, and we're gonna reshoot all the parts that Kevin was in with Kurt. And I'm silent, and then I realize, Kurt, is that you? And it was Kurt Russell actually making the call.
Okay.
But I finally recognized his voice. Yeah, it actually loosened me up.